first year up on Varsity, and just kind of finding his footing, being a varsity player. Obviously, he had somebody to look up to in his brother, just to kind of model himself after. And I think for that reason, a lot of the guys, and deservedly so, a lot of the guys looked at him as a leader. And Leo, being a sophomore, sometimes that's a challenging thing for a sophomore to be a leader amongst older players. But I think Leo really handled that pressure and handled that kind of responsibility from the rest of his teammates with a lot of grace and a lot of maturity. And he's just going to grow from this more so than anything. In the water, he's improving every single day. I think there's a lot of potential for you, but we got to keep working hard, buddy. Dunk! Dunk! So Duncan, coming in, he was one of the few guys that actually played on the varsity team last year, almost all the way through the season. So he kind of came in, and you could tell a lot of guys looked up to him to be like, all right, what does it take to kind of be up here at this level? And Duncan definitely showed him, helped him out in practice. Even though sometimes Duncan didn't start all the time, he was always supportive of the guys when he came in off the bench. But more so than anything is just kind of his leadership and just kind of taking some of these younger boys under his wing and really just mentoring them and making them be better players. Duncan had a great year for us defensively, more so than anything. Had amazing assists for us, but is going to improve so much better, than he was the previous year. Excuse me. And I'm just looking forward to what Duncan's going to do next season. So congratulations. All right, we got Joe McPhail. Duncan and Joe, I think, both got 4.0s, and so did Leo. So congratulations to them. So Joe is, Joe's a player that reminds me a lot of myself in the sense that we're not necessarily the best swimmers, but we make up for it with, and that's no offense. He knows it. I mean, no offense by that. I'm not a good swimmer either. But we make up for it with just kind of how we process the game and knowing kind of our roles in an offensive game. So more so than anything, Joe would come in and play great defense for us, set up a lot of our plays. He was a big setup man for us. But also when teams would drop off of him, he would be a sneaky shot and he would just let it rip, and they'd be like, okay, I can't really drop off that guy anymore. So in that sense, he's really figuring out the game. And even if you're not the fastest swimmer, if you're the smartest player out there, you're gonna have a head advantage over everybody. So really good job. Tanner Erickson. Tanner is probably one of the sneakiest shooters I think I've ever seen. It's just it's really nice to have a weapon like that, but somebody who just is a hard worker, doesn't really say a whole lot, but just definitely puts his head down and will be there for the team when he needs to show up, and makes teams pay. He's probably got, and don't get a big head from this, but he's got some of the best shooting technique I've seen, from the power he gets out of it and the accuracy from it. And it's really cool to see in game time situations when he's barring it in every single time. And also playing really good defense for us as well. So I think next year is going to be an amazing year for Tanner. And obviously he had a great year this year, but I'm really proud of you. Go G, basically, he had one of the toughest jobs this entire season, in the sense that he was the guy that always matched up against the other team's hole sets. And he took on pretty much every single hole set that we saw during the season. And I think every single game, there'd be games that maybe he'd get turned a little bit, or he kind of saw it as just battles. Every single time he'd go in there, and that's kind of the mentality you need to have in that position, is that it's a one-on-one battle. And G, towards the beginning, it was like, all right, I can kind of handle this. And then towards the end of it, he was literally taking the battle to the other opponents and really just shutting down their whole set. So they had to work other options. Outside shooting had to become a factor for other teams because G did such a good job guarding their whole set and spending the energy to do so. It is not an easy thing to be wrestling for 30 seconds and then sprinting your butt off down to the other end. And most of the time, he'd be the one that getting that counterattack because he would spend the energy to counterattack out after wrestling with that guy. So G has been improving. I could have given the most improved as well because he could have earned that. But he just, all these guys improved so well. But G just did so amazing for us in whole guard and also offensively, but more so than anything in whole guard. Really proud. All right, and so our first award, and it's going to be, I guess I see it being here, but most inspirational. This guy is kind of, he can make or break a game, and it's a position that is arguably the most important position in the pool. And this guy, every single day came in with a good attitude and working hard for his boys. I heard some really cool things about, I guess the boys have a text chain and whatever goes on there, I don't want to know. But what I do know and what I've heard is that there was some, after practices, some guys would call out and be like, hey, we did this really well today. And hey, as a group, we really did this well. And to me, that's inspiring. And the person who I heard did that was Noah Baumgartner. Noah stepped up. He had just an amazing year in the cage for us. He's really showing the rest of the league that we finally have somebody in net that we can, not that we didn't have in the past, but a really, really solid goalkeeper. Easy now. And I just am really proud of what Noah accomplished this year, and looking forward to the next 2 years with you, bud.
Thank you, Coach.
And very much like the other previous two teams I had up here, I could have given this award to any one of these guys, just from the amount that everybody improved throughout this entire year. But this guy, more so than anything, he was put into a position that he didn't necessarily play. I don't know if he played too much of it last year. Calling out Ben Schaefer. Ben stepped in as basically our whole set for the entire season, and he just worked his butt off every single day. Every single day in practice, in games, was kind of the I would say the gauge of the team. If Ben was having a good day and being vocal, the rest of the team was having a good day and being vocal. One memory I really remember of Ben is this season against Sanderfell. Sanderfell, if any of you guys were at that game, it was kind of back and forth. We always like to make it a close game. But it was, I think we went down 3 goals, and it was kind of a moment that as a coach, you're like, all right, should I call timeout here? And I almost did, but then I looked out at the water and I saw Ben with the ball looking around at every single one of his boys and just being like, come on, boys, come on. Just looking them in the eyes and getting them going again. And that's really inspiring to see, as he's definitely a leader and he was our captain this season, so that deserves a round of applause. But he's getting most improved because I think he improved this team with his actions more so than anything. So that's how he earned that. Congratulations. All right, and I'm never going to hear the end of this. But come on up here. So, this guy earned the MVP for a lot of reasons. More so than anything, it was the big clutch moments. It was the moments in games when this team was looking around and needing a goal and just needing somebody just to take that shot and have the confidence to do so. Yes, he might be point and shoot, but he point and shot, and in some of the most clutch games that we had, he scored about 5 to 6 goals in every single one of those. And the other teams didn't really have an answer for his shot. And it was really cool to see, every single game we played after that, that San Marin game where he had an amazing game and finished it off for us. Every single game from then on, A, he started, B, he didn't come out, and C, he had still continued his reign of about 4 to 5 goals in every single game we played. So for that reason and more, Buckley earned this MVP. All these boys I think are very valuable to the overall success of this team, but definitely Buckley helped us on the offensive end, and that's why he's earning this award today. So.